All right, Paul, whenever you're ready.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode edition of Alumni Journeys here with Cerritos College as part of the Cerritos College Foundation. I'm your host as usual, Parimal, talking to you from Austin today. We have a great guest as always on the other side. Please help me welcome Katherine Garcia. I got to brag about her for a minute, so give me a second here to tell you about who she is. She is a Cerritos College graduate, 2011. She's since went on to China University, Hong Kong, UC Santa Barbara, got her MBA from Cal State Long Beach. She's in marketing. She's a board member of OC Coastkeeper. She's done a lot of great things, including, student activities on campus. She was a graduate fellow with with an entrepreneurship accelerator and a whole bunch of other things that we'll talk about over the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes. So with that, as we get into details about Katherine, please help me welcome our guest today, Katherine Garcia. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you, Parimal. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, better be happy to be here than not, right? I mean, it's always great to have people like you come back and talk to us about your experience, and so hopefully we'll have a great conversation today. I know we'll have a great conversation today about your time at Cerritos. So as I always do, I like to start off by talking about your start at Cerritos College. And so take us back to, I think it was 2007. You came on campus. What went into the decision to come to Cerritos College? And what was your game plan?
Got it. So I was a lost puppy. When I graduated from Downey High School, I didn't really even know what a bachelor degree was. I was the first one in my family to even think of going to college. It was just my mom and I. My mom had a second grade education. So some friends were going to Cerritos College, so I said, you know what, I'll go there too. And so when I got there, I really was a lost kid. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just kind of, floundering, trying to find my way. And I did. I tried radio classes. I tried culinary, but something didn't feel right. So I actually ended up leaving Cerritos College and I went to University of Phoenix and I was there for 2 years. And it was a big mistake looking back because it was very expensive and there was a lack of community at University of Phoenix. Everyone was older and had their careers already going. And here I was, this kid, not knowing what I wanted to do. So something told me in my gut and soul, Parimal, to go back to Cerritos College. And I did. And that's when my life started to really change and transform.
So what do you think about, you said something in your soul told you to go back.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, what about Cerritos College do you think connected with you in that first year or so that made you say, you know what, this place is for me, I need to come back? Like, can you identify what
Yes.
what
It
made you?
it was peers, surrounding myself with people my age and having a sense of community.
Mhm.
That's what it was for me. That made me feel like I need to go back to Cerritos College because there was a sense of that. There were clubs. There was a lot of youthful energy. So that's what really got me going back. And when I did, something really amazing happened. I took several classes. I took a lot of classes, but one of the classes I took was a geography lab class. And if you're a student at Cerritos College, I strongly encourage you to take this course. You go on a 3-day camping trip with a geographer. And so I did that, and I met a very amazing professor. Her name is Dr. Crystal Louverture, and that woman really just transformed my life. I was a broken kid, didn't really believe in myself, didn't have a voice. And Dr. Crystal Louverture really took me under her wing and mentored me. And looking back, that's when I really started to thrive as a Cerritos College student. I became a student senator. I became president of the geography club. I was the only student on faculty senate. And I was part of many, many other things. I started a recycling program. And it was through the mentorship that I call her Crystal gave me that really helped me push forward to be more active on campus.
Okay, and I actually am curious about this recycling program. Tell us how that kind of developed. What was the program? How did you go about bringing it to reality? Walk us through how that became a thing.
Yeah, so by that time I already was on Senate, and I was on faculty Senate. And when I got on faculty Senate, I did not understand anything that was going on. But still, I owned my seat and I would show up. And I started realizing, big people are voting on big things. Teachers are voicing their opinions on important matters. And as president of the geography club, I noticed there was no recycling program on campus. So with the support of Crystal, the geography professor, I went to Dr. Lacey, who was the president of the school at the time, and I said, hey, we need a recycling program. And she had my support, but she says, get me more information. So then I went in and talked to the person in charge of I don't know the right word, but he's in charge of making sure all the trash is picked up and the campus is cleaned. And I went to tell him, hey, I want to start a recycling program. And basically he said, no, not a really good idea. I don't know. So I went back to Dr. Lacey and eventually I got a yes. And then once I got a yes, I didn't realize how much work it took, because when I committed that, I said, I'm going to be the one picking up all the recycling, all the recyclables from the recycling bin. And it was a lot of work. And there was never a right time for me to walk in the classroom to pick up the recyclables. So looking back, it was kind of a hot mess, but I did it. And now Cerritos College has an amazing recycling program, and recycling is so a part of their culture. So I'm glad I did it. I would have, looking back, I would have done it differently, but hey, now we have a full-on recycling program at Cerritos College, which I'm proud of.
As you should be. It's a great accomplishment. So thank you for doing that. As somebody who's I'm an environmental journalist myself, so to be able to,
beautiful.
Yeah, so to hear that from you is it's just amazing. So thank you for doing that. And so I just kind of let's take that one step further now. And you clearly have been very active on campus during your 2 years here, or 2 years, the 2 or 3 years you were there. Tell me about the value of just being active in general. I mean, you don't have to necessarily come up with great programs per se, but just maybe it's not being a president or a state senator, but just being part of a club or being part of a committee of something. I mean, there's a lot of layers here. So just the significance of just being involved in general. I
tell the students, I didn't become president of geography club day one. No, I started out by showing up, and I showed up to a lot of clubs, and some clubs just didn't fit with my values, didn't feel right. Other clubs did. And so I always say the first step is show up. If you're a student, just show up. It's something that can help you when you're transferring to your 4-year, and it exposes you to different activities that you might like or you may not like. And then after that, once you feel comfortable, hey, nominate yourself to be a secretary or a treasurer or a vice president or the president. But being active on campus, not only does it give you experience, but it gives you a community. And to this day, I don't know, 10 years later, 11 years later, I'm still friends with a lot of Cerritos College people. Some of them are here tonight hearing this. So the community that you get out of this is invaluable.
Sure. I think another thing that is also quite invaluable is also the skill set you acquire. I mean, obviously to pitch, a program or a campaign or what have you. So walk us through just how what's probably the most important skill that you acquired from all this experience that now is applying to your career right now.
Yeah. So one of the most important skills that I've acquired, I still use to this day, is having a seat at the table. So last year I did something new that was a little scary for me. I'm a director now, and I'm always trying to push myself and do new things. I wanted to be on a board of directors, and I wanted to be on a board that I cared about. So thankfully I did find the right board. It's the name of the nonprofit is called the OC Coastkeeper. I've been on that board since maybe June. And a lot of the times I don't understand what they're talking about in those meetings. I'm sitting there and I'm like, so just 2 weeks ago, they were talking about MPAs. MPAs, what in the world are MPAs? No idea, right? But
Yeah.
still, I own my seat. And I ask questions. And guess what? Every time that I show up to these meetings, I'm learning more and more about the environment, more and more about the procedures that happen in the state or even in the nonprofit itself. So it's simply just showing up, even if you're a little nervous, even if maybe I'm not good enough for this. Even if you have fear, show up. That's the biggest skill I learned, and it started at Cerritos College when I showed up at those Senate meetings, when I showed up at those faculty Senate meetings, when I showed up at the geography club meetings. All of those meetings really are skills that I learned that I still apply to this day.
I have a similar anecdote. When I was at Cerritos College, I sat on the curriculum committee, and I was just like you on the faculty senate. I was the only student on that committee, and at that time, the student representative did not have a vote. You just said the student just sat there and just would occasionally give an input, but it was a non-voting position. And I remember one night we had a meeting with the entire committee, and there was a large issue in front of us, and it was a divisive debate. I mean, it was literally split down the middle, and it was I think it was about a nursing class, if I remember correctly, and offering it to students who couldn't afford it otherwise, right? It was some sort of special program they were trying to pitch, and I chimed in saying, hey, this might be the difference maker for a student who wants to become a nurse but can't afford it. And how can we deny them that? And I remember, the curriculum committee took that seriously, and they ended up voting in favor of it.
Wow.
A year later, it turned into a vote. The student position became a voting position because of that night. And that's kind of the point. And it's to your point. The reason I bring this up, Katherine, is to your point because I just showed up. I didn't plan to speak on that issue. I just heard the debate in front of me. Like, wait, I should say something, and it actually made a difference down the line. And sometimes just showing up, that's most of the battle right there, right? So I would agree with you. I think it's a great point. Yes, showing up, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and that includes showing up. And so so thank you for sharing that experience. I want to jump ahead now. You finished Cerritos College, then you went. Looks like you went to a school in Hong Kong first before you came back to the University of Santa Barbara. Then you got your bachelor's there, and then you obviously want to get your MBA. But I want to talk about what when you were at the end of your time at Cerritos College, and now you're deciding what's ahead of you. Was marketing, was that something that kind of came into fruition? You're nodding your head no. So what was the vision at that point, and how did you get to Hong Kong?
Okay.
Along that path?
So at Cerritos College, I was just trying to transfer. And back then, I don't know if they have this still, you had like 3 plans: plan A, plan B, plan C. So I ended up with an associate's in liberal arts, not because it was my passion, but it was because it was the easiest way to get my associates. And at the same time, if you're a student and listening, I strongly encourage you to look into the transfer agreement program at Cerritos College, because that's how I scored my way into UC Santa Barbara. So Cerritos College has transfer agreements with the UCs and Cal States throughout the state. So at Cerritos College, so I got accepted at UC Santa Barbara as a communications major. I didn't know what I was going to do with that, but I was, hey, I'm at a dream school, I'm here. And then I took a class and I said, hell no, I don't want to do this. This is too hard. This doesn't feel right. So plan B was anthropology. I love cultures, I love people. And so I ended up being an anthropology major. And I think Crystal, my geography professor from Cerritos College, I think she planted the seed of traveling abroad, or it was a conversations that we were having. At that time, I looked up, she was like such a role model to me. So I always jumped back ideas with her. And she still is a role model to me. I love Crystal. And I said, I want to study abroad. And I ended up choosing Hong Kong. I had 30 countries to choose from. And I ended up choosing Hong Kong simply because I didn't know anything about Hong Kong. And I remember one time I called Crystal, once all the paperwork was done and I was about to leave, I called Crystal crying because I didn't know if this was a good decision or not. And she was with a friend of hers or someone whom I admire, a mentor of mine as well. And the mentor said, just go, worst comes to worst, you come back. You get a plane ticket, you come back. And that is something I needed to hear. And I left to Hong Kong, and it was such an amazing experience. I came back with so much gratitude, and I studied anthropology over there in Hong Kong, and I gained so many friends, and I also earned my first fail. I got an F in one of the classes, and I earned it proudly. I was like, you know what? I'm here eating good food. I went to Thailand, Taiwan, which I should have been studying. So that F, I earned that F, and I was proud of that F. I didn't see it as a negative thing. But when I came back, I realized that, you know what? Anthropology is not for me. Something just didn't feel right. So I said, I need to get an internship ASAP. So I came across a social media internship. I didn't really know what that meant, but I ended up doing it. And when I got the internship, there was no training. So I convinced my boss at the time to get me a membership for lynda.com, lynda.com. It has now been sold to LinkedIn, and it is known as LinkedIn Learning. So I started watching all the marketing videos, all of them, and they were all by the same instructor. And at the time now, I was back in Santa Barbara. And I remember one day the instructor said, my company in Santa Barbara, and I was like, what? I'm in Santa Barbara. I want to learn from the best. So so I'm going to work for her. So what I did is I drafted an email saying, I'm willing to work for you. I want it for the best, and I'm willing to work for free, attaches my resume, and I sent my email to the company. I got no response. So I said, I need to hunt that lady's email down. And I couldn't find it on the internet. So I said, maybe her email is her first name at thenameofthecompany.com. So I sent the email, the same email as last time, sent it, and I got a response. And then I took it further and showed up, as what I've learned in Cerritos College, showed up to one of her speaking engagements in Santa Barbara. And I've been working at that company ever since.
Wow. And the lesson here is the value of being proactive, right? Just doing, right? I mean, I think that's the biggest problem a lot of people come across is they just don't start doing something. They like, well, I can't figure out what to do, or I don't know where to go. Well, just give it a shot. And, if it doesn't work out, maybe you learn something else, but again, it's missing all the shots you don't take, right? And so the lesson here is being proactive. So, wow, that was really amazing. So walk us through how now you're at the end of UC Santa Barbara now, you work at this company, I'm assuming now, right? So, kind of how have you grown since, walk us through just the development of your career here. Then, I know you went back a few years later to get your MBA. So how did your MBA come about? Just kind of talk us through the evolution of how things worked out after UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, so I started as an intern. I was a marketing intern, and then around, I believe 6 months later, I was offered a full-time job. And over the years, I've just been given more responsibilities, more opportunities for growth. And what I love about, and eventually to the title that I have now, I'm a director, a marketing director at Web Marketing Therapy. And what I love about my company is that I get to wear so many hats. I get to wear my creative hat, which is where, I'm doing brand strategy and coming up with PR content and helping build websites. And there's also the analytical side where I'm looking under the hood of the website and seeing, hey, what's working and what's not. I'm looking at paid search. I'm managing thousands of dollars every month in Google ad spend. And now even further, now that I'm a director, I have more responsibility where I'm looking at, hey, how can we scale this business even more? What protocols need to be put in place to help our employees? Who should we hire next? How many people shall we hire this year? So basically, I and I started with not knowing anything about marketing, nothing. And now I'm not, and now it's expanded into, now we're learning about business. And one thing about me, Parimal, is that I just love learning. Throughout my whole career, I've never stopped going to school. I did a class at UCLA Extension. I've done classes at Cerritos College. I did some classes online. I've always been wanting to learn. And I always want to see, how can I take it to the next level? And that's when I decided, it's time for me to pursue a master's degree. And I did. I just finished in November. I finished my classes.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, so around the same time, well, maybe a little before you graduated, if I understood correctly, if I did my research right, you started an app. You launched an app.
Oh, look at you.
All right?
Yes.
Okay, and it's about, if I remember correctly, it's about hair loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have no hair, so.
Sorry, bigger for you, Parimal. Yes.
Tell us about the app. How did that come about?
So I have a mentor, and one thing about me and I, if there's something that you can take, who's ever listening, take this from me. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. So the beautiful thing about being a student is that you have this quality card called the student card. And I've noticed from experiences that executives, successful people, they don't feel intimidated if you have the student card. People love to help students. So through my student card, I met my mentor now. His name is Ari. He's a senior product manager at Google. And through his guide, he was doing this externship where it's like he was like hosting a class, a PM class, and I decided to be a part of it. And hair loss is something that actually I struggle with. I struggle from hair alopecia, so it's really close to my heart. And so I wanted to focus on, hey, how can I help people who are struggling like me? So I interviewed a lot of people who experienced hair loss. And I asked them, how can I help you? What can I create for you that can help you? And the answer to them was an app. So I hired an engineer. I paid for this all on my own. I hired designers, and I told them what I wanted. And through Ari's guidance, we now have an app in the App Store. So that's how it came about. And now I'm working on my next product.
Nice. Wow, look at you. If there's one word I would say to describe you, it's, maybe two words, an energetic entrepreneur.
There you go.
You're double E, an energetic entrepreneur. Wow. Another thing you mentioned right now, just in talking about the app, is having a mentor. And not only did you have a mentor, but you also had a professor back at Sirius College who helped you out and guided you. I think that's another undervalued tool that people don't use enough. And so talk to us about the value. And I know you have a question for me about, a mentor that I had. You get that whenever you're ready, but talk to us about the value of having a mentor and how that really helps enhance your goals.
Oh gosh, like people see me and they're like, oh, you have all this confidence, you're so extroverted, you speak up your mind, you're so driven, ambitious. But I did not start out that way. I was a broken kid. I arrived at Cerritos College as a broken kid I didn't have much of a voice. And it was based on lies that from childhood trauma that had taught me that I wasn't good enough. But I keep going back to Crystal because Crystal saw something that at the time I did not see in myself. She believed in me, and it was, Parimal, you mentioned that you interviewed Kobe Bryant once.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me that. Let everyone know that story really briefly.
Okay, so for the people who don't know, I am a journalist, and for a few years I had my own sports column in Los Angeles when I was living in Los Angeles, and I got to cover the Lakers, the Dodgers, basically every LA sports team. I had the privilege to cover as a columnist. And so I think this was the second time I covered a Laker game. I'd met Kobe before the first time I covered a Laker game. Second time I covered a Laker game, I'm in the locker room interviewing him. And Lakers. I do remember Lakers lost that game. I remember that specifically because the first question I asked him was about why they lost. It was a very specific question about some of the strategies that happened that game. And I remember that question because when Kobe came to his locker to meet all of his journalists, and he was ready for the first question, everyone was too intimidated to ask. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to ask the first question. Why not, right? And I asked the first question. And just how you're saying how your geology professor saw something in you. I think me asking that question first, Kobe saw something in me because 30 minutes later, when the interviews were all over, and now I turn around and the entire, press corps is, backing up when Lee. So Kobe and I are standing side by side, and he puts his arm around me and he's like, "What's up, man?" We start having a conversation, right? So, and he remembered me from the first time I interviewed him a few months earlier. And so he's like, "What are you doing here, man?" I'm like, "I'm doing my job. I'm a sports columnist." Like, no, what are you really doing here? Because he was leaning like you don't belong in a basketball locker room. You should be doing bigger, better stories. And he's like, "Dude, go out there and be a junkyard dog." And his whole premise was I was the one who was aggressive enough to ask a question to the great Kobe Bryant, right? Because everyone's intimidated by him.
Yeah.
I wasn't intimidated. I'll ask you a question. I don't care. That's what I'm here for, right? And he saw that in me, and him telling me go be a junkyard dog. That's exactly what I did. And this was maybe in 07 or 08, right around the time you were starting at Syracuse College, and I basically used that to launch my entire journalism career. And now I'm a full-time journalist here in Austin. I'm on my second journalism job here, and I've been quite successful so far. I've got two markets, Austin and Houston. But I built that entire career just upon that 2 minutes that Kobe put his arm around me and said, "Hey, why are you here? No, seriously, why are you here? You should not be doing this low of a job, even though it's like, hey, I'm in the Lakers locker room. How is that low?" But to him, he saw potential, and that's kind of the point is if you don't put yourself in front of the right people, if you don't just make yourself available, you never know where that might lead.
Yep. Beautiful. And look, and that's such a touching story. Thank you for sharing that. And we need Kobe Bryant in our lives. And at that, to me, Crystal's my Kobe Bryant. I'm forever thankful for her because she helped me in so many ways that has led me to where I'm at today. So mentorship is super important, and it's something that I still seek out today. So now that I'm older, sometimes I'm the mentor and sometimes I'm still the mentee. And one thing that I want to share with the students and with the community here is that in grad school, I still cold emailed people with cool careers who I wanted to learn from. And many of them ignored me, right? But some people did respond. And to this day, they're still my mentors. That's how I met Ari, who was my the senior PM at Google. That's how I met the VP of marketing at Bank of America. It's all about taking initiative. Writing that email, calling that person. You can't just wait and sit. You got to get up and take it.
Right. There's one of my favorite movies of all time is Mongol. It's a Russian movie, and it's about Genghis Khan and his rise to power. And in the trailer, there's one, in the main trailer, at the end of the trailer, the narrator says, the voiceover says, "Greatness comes to those who take it."
There you go.
Right.
Amen.
That's to your point, right? It's like it's not going to come to you. You got to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So great point, and so I'm 100% with you on that one. One thing you again, you just going back building on what you just said again. You're talking about now. Yes, you're always a student, but now you're kind of positioned because of experience. Now you're also being the mentor now. So you're kind of getting, and I could say this too because I'm kind of in the same boat now. I've been out of college for almost, amazing myself, it's been 25 years since I've been out of college. I'm now in a position where I'm now the one who's looked upon as the mentor. I'm the one who's supposed to be giving back a lot of people gave to me, but now I'm giving back. And so let's talk about the value of giving back and how are you giving back? Let's talk about charity. Just how do you know? At what point did you feel comfortable that you could start giving back to people?
Well, I feel it's always important to show. I want to make the world a better place. That is it is with every fiber of my being. I want to make the world a better place, and I want to do that through education, through helping the environment, through so many ways. And I'm always like, what can I do now, right? What can I do to give back, right? And right now, just two things come off my mind. I'm very involved at OC Coastkeeper, where we're working really hard to defend our waters and protect our waters throughout Orange County. We do a lot of really good work at OC Coastkeeper, and I'm thankful to be a part of. Another thing is like, okay, I'm at a position now where I can give back financially. So because of that, I started the Katherine Garcia Scholarship. And of course, out of all the universities, I think there's been like 5 or 6, maybe more, that I've gone to, nothing hits home like Cerritos College, because I was so involved on that campus. So, and because of the amazing mentorships that I got. So I think giving back is very important. And I'm at a place where I want to give back. I want to talk to the students. There was a point in my life where I wanted to be a college professor. And part of that was because my role model, Crystal, was a college professor. So I wanted to be a college professor. But I feel like right now it's not a good fit for me, just because of all the crazy and wild ambitions I have. But how can I be involved? Okay, I'll start a scholarship. I'll mentor a couple of students. I'll volunteer if needed. I'll reach out to professors from the past and say, hey, how can I help? Giving back is so important to me and my values and helping the community. And it's something I see myself doing for the rest of my life. Maybe it's not financially, maybe it's time-wise, maybe it is financially, maybe it's, hey, let's go build a house using my hands. I don't know, but giving back is something that's definitely something that I value.
Okay, and I'm going to finish with this last question. And by the way, before I get into it, anybody else watching right now, if you want to submit a question, feel free to put it in the chat. And if you get in the next 5 minutes, I'll be able to ask the question and pose it to Katherine. But my last question is that I do want to ask about the scholarship, which is the Katherine Garcia Scholarship. Tell us how much is this scholarship worth? What are the criteria? What you're looking for? What are the benefits that students get? I mean, just walk us through what the scholarship is and how it helps a student, whoever gets it.
Great. So we're giving several $250 scholarships. And the reason I did that, because when I was at Cerritos College, I got several scholarships, and I don't remember what I did with the money. I know I needed it because I was a broke college student, but I can't tell you how I felt when I got those letters. And it was feelings of joy, gratitude, just elatefulness. So I want to spread that to the Cerritos College students. So really all you need is a 2.5 GPA or higher. There's 2 questions that are there. One of them is you don't really have to answer. The other one it is, I think the question I chose that you have to answer is, pretend it's 2030, what are you doing with your life? I think that's the question. I don't think I even put a requirement in regards to words. So I really hope people here, students here really apply. I will be reading each and every one, and I think the deadline is not this Friday, but the following Friday. So get on it.
Okay. Cool. I do have one. Well, it's not so much a question; it's more of someone's asking to have your contact info. So if you don't mind sharing, how can people get a hold of you, or can they find you?
So there's a couple of ways. You can add me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I'm Katherine L. Garcia, Katherine with a K, L. Garcia. That's like the best way to get a hold of me. I am always on LinkedIn. Another way to get hold of me, you want to see more of my personal life, you're more than welcome to follow me on Instagram. We can be pals, it's okay. And my username is Katherine Garcia Official.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm gonna add you at the end of this conversation. So pretty soon.
I love it.
I do have one favor to ask of you. This is an OC Coast Keeper favor. I've dealt with them, and I don't know if he's. I hope he's still there. Is Ray Hemstra still there?
No.
No. Okay, man. I was gonna say if you give him a shout out for me, but I guess he's moved on. Because when I was I used to cover the OC Coast Keeper back when I was in Southern California.
Wow.
So I worked with them for a few years when I was.
Did you say Greg?
No, Ray Hemstra. Yeah, I think he was a director for a while, and he might have moved on since. But so I was going to say give a shout out for me.
I'll let the team know because everyone who's been on the board has been on the board most of them have been on the board for over 15 years.
Okay. So mention my name in the log.
Yeah, I will. Okay.
That's where I covered.
Okay.
So this yeah. There is one question here. Where do we apply for the scholarship? Where do we go? So I guess how does someone apply for the scholarship?
This is where Matt comes in. There's a link. Is Matt on by any chance?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matthew, if you don't mind sharing the link in the chat box to where they can find the application and how to get more information. And Desiree, thank you for sharing the LinkedIn page. And I think Matthew also sent. Okay, here we go. The application link is there through the Students College Foundation. So anybody who wants so I know Julietta had asked a question. If you look at the chat box, Julietta, you'll see the application link down there at the bottom. So thank you for that, Matthew. You have any questions of us, Katherine? You want to turn the tables on us? I mean, you asked me one question already. Do you want to have a little bit more fun with that before we call it tonight?
Let's have some fun. I also want to have fun with the attendees. Okay, so let's first of all, how many any students here?
If any of you are going to do a raise a hand or
I'm an alumni. Jax is an alumni.
Yeah.
Hey, Jax.
Any other students here? Okay,
Guadalupe. Are you involved with
Sean Rodriguez is a student. He just raised his hand. We have a couple students here. Edgar is a student here. Okay.
Nathan, do you have a question for me?
I think Nathan is letting us know he's a student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That the students come. So definitely apply for the scholarship. And please, if you have any questions in regards to your career, Julieta, talk to me. I'm see me as a source of information. It can be in regards to what is my email. Okay, my email, Nathan, is okay. I'm gonna type it because I know that this video is gonna end up on YouTube, and I don't want everyone to have my email. Here we go.
You're gonna become famous, Katherine.
I'm not trying to have spam.
So there's your email address. Thank you for sharing that.
Let's turn the tables a little bit and what are your passions other than journalism?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Let's see. I am known as in my circles as a major film buff. I am obsessed with film. I mean, obsessed. I've been a film fan since I was 5 years old. My parents own a video store. I think that just made it click for me. And I'm known for writing long rants about films on my Facebook page. So
wow. Okay. What type of film are we talking about?
My biggest passions are film noir and westerns.
Okay. I don't even know what film noir. Please educate us.
Film noir literally means black film. Noir means black. It's a French word for black. But as a film genre, it was at its peak from like the mid 40s to the mid 60s. It's that hardened detective who is, struggling with his career, and he's got this damsel in distress who comes in with a case, and he's got to figure it out. That's like one example of a film noir. Now they do neo noirs, which are very dark films, and that's the whole point. These very dark, hardened characters. It just takes you down this path of mystery and mayhem, and it's just very interesting storytelling. And so same thing with the westerns, same kind of concept.
Are you a big Netflix watcher by any
Yes,
chance?
because
Okay.
I do Netflix streaming and I do Netflix DVDs. I have my
Oh, wow.
My Netflix DVD queue has 700 films on it right now.
I
I'll
forgot.
never finish that queue.
I didn't know that existed still.
Well, I'm one of the few people that still uses those. I think there's like 2 million users. I'm one of them. So
Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna have you give this homework. What's one film that's on Netflix? I have Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus. Let's just stick to Netflix that you recommend we all watch.
a Netflix film that everyone could all watch. That's a great question. You're gonna make me think for a minute here, so bear with me. I'm gonna say The Goonies, which is one of my favorite films from my childhood, but it's just a great film about innocence and teamwork. And it just you watch that film and as cheesy as it is and as dated as it is, the ideas of teamwork and camaraderie and innocence carry through, and we could use a lot of those concepts in today's world.
I love
And,
it. The
you know,
Goonies.
yeah. And so, here a group of kids posed with a challenge, and they had to work together to get out of it. And I don't know what more we could ask for in the world than to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna watch The Goonies. I think
Yes.
I saw it once.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I'm dating myself. I mean, I was like 9 or 10 years old when the film came out, and it was geared specifically to my age group at that time. So, when it came out, it was, for the 8 to 15 year olds, that was the film to watch, and this was in the mid '80s. So at the time, it was like, wow, it was, and it's still, and the talent that came out of that film. I mean, Steven Spielberg always was involved with it. Josh Brolin, Sean Astin, who was one of the guys in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean, there's this amazing talent that came out of that film. I mean, that was their first film, and now some of them become stars after that. So that was also great about that. So
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
Oh, the chat is rocking. Okay.
yeah. I guess another recommendation is the Rocky series. Um, Jack says he's a rom-com fan. So yeah, Love is Blind. Thanks, Edgar. That is true.
Cynthia, do you have a question for us? No. Okay. I got a direct message. All right.
Hand is up. Cynthia, if you do have a question, let us know. You're on mute right now. But yeah. Let's see what Guadalupe Guadalupe just said. 2001, I started attending college and I got my culinary arts certificate in 2005. Now returning student after 17 years, going for a cybersecurity.
Ooh, cybersecurity.
What advice do you have for me? So what advice would you have for going back to school after 17 years?
Are you working full time, Guadalupe? No. Okay, then try to score a cybersecurity. Do you have time to get an internship in cybersecurity? Okay. So I would start working on your LinkedIn. Look at my LinkedIn for inspiration. My LinkedIn tends to get a lot of attention. Look at my LinkedIn and use that as inspiration to work on your LinkedIn. And then after that, try to search on LinkedIn people who work in cybersecurity and email them and ask them if they had, let them know your story. They're going to have not sympathy, but they're going to want to root for you because you're a mom of two, you've been out of school for 17 years. It's an amazing story. So they're going to want to help you. Let them know that you're a student at Cerritos College and just ask them, hey, can I have 30 minutes of your time? Just that. And you're going to get a lot of no's, or people are nice, so they're just going to ignore you. But one or two I'm hoping they're going to say yes. And then just ask a lot of good questions and ask them, what do you suggest? Is there a class you suggest I take? Is there an online course? Is there an internship you would recommend? And see how that conversation goes. That would be my advice to you. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up now. Katherine, this was a great conversation. Thank you for being so open, and thank you for being an inspiration. You really are an inspiration. You've given me some motivation to pursue some things that I'm still working on. And so thank you just for being a great energy and just a great person overall. Thank you so much. And I know we
Thank
see
you,
someone
Carmel.
copying, so definitely I'll give her a hand. Thank you very much. And
Thank
if
you.
you don't mind, I do have one more thank you I want to give, and that is to Matthew. Today is his last alumni journeys that he's going to be on with us. And so, I just want to say thank you, Matthew, for starting Alumni Journeys. This has been a great forum for people like Katherine. So thank you for being a part of the Shrewsbury College Foundation. He's moving on to another job. So today is his last day with us. So thank you, Matthew, for everything you've done.
Is he moving to Texas with you?
No, he's not. He's staying in Southern California.
Hey, I'm going to miss you, guy. You guys are all leaving
thanks,
me.
Rocky. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to miss you, man.
Thank you. That's nice.
Well,
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Hey, can we still invite you to do a speech or in this foundation for us?
You can still invite me to anything. Yeah, please.
Paramount will interview you.
I would love that. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because you interviewed me, now we got to turn the tables. I got to interview. Maybe Katherine and I will double team and interview you. That's what we'll do. Because she's a good question asker. She's a good question asker as well.
I'm happy to interview anyone. Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on. There we go. Cool. Here's another question from Julieta. Is there a way we can see what scholarship we qualify for? I don't know if that's Matthew. I don't know if it's your question.
Yeah. So yes, there is. When you go online to cerritoscf.org and get a scholarship, you will upload all your information and your grade point average, and the platform will automatically tell you what you qualify for and what you don't qualify for.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, with that, thank you, Katherine, for being part of this today, and looking forward to all your future successes. And by all means, feel free to share with us where you're at and what you're doing. And everyone who's been a part of this today and in the future, I hope you're able to benefit from the wisdom she gave with us today. So thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Katherine. I'll be calling you.
Right, cool.
I love it.
With that, on behalf of the Shrewsbury College Foundation, I'm Primal. I'll see you guys all later.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. Take care. Thanks, Katherine.